Good morning to everyone. As you can tell, my voice is still back in bed. I'm feeling a lot better than I was yesterday, so I want to welcome all our jurors. Mr. Jones is present, the defense counsel and prosecution is present in this case, and we're all back on the record. So if the prosecution would call their first witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Courtney Waked.
Perjury, the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, or so do you affirm? Yes.
Do you want me to move this now? So you can see her.
May I move the podium here?
Sure. Guys, okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Shea.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Courtney Waked, Courtney, Waked.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Courtney?
I'm a junior at NAU. I'm studying to be an elementary education. I'm studying elementary education.
You grew up here in Arizona?
No, I grew up in Huntington Beach, California.
Were you a student at NAU in October of 2015?
Yes, I was a sophomore.
What year were you?
I was a sophomore.
Okay. And where were you living at the time?
In Mountain View Hall.
Do you remember the room or the floor?
It's 204, Suite 204.
So that's the second floor?
Yes.
Courtney, I'm going to ask you about the events of the very early morning hours of October 9th, 2015. Do you recall that date?
Yes.
Shortly after 1 a.m., do you recall what you were doing?
Yes, I was just in my room with my roommate. We were playing guitar, doing some homework, just relaxing, and I was getting ready for bed.
All right. Did something happen at that point in time that captured your attention?
Outside my window, there was some noise and bantering, and I just constantly kept walking by my window and looking out the window, and I would walk back to my bed, but I never saw anything that like really captured my attention. It was just a lot of, like I said, it sounded like drunk guys walking by. You know, we live in the sorority in the fraternity hall, so I just assumed it was drunk guys walking by.
Okay. Outside?
Yes.
Did you look out the window at any point and take closer attention to what was taking place out there?
Not from before I heard anything major. It was mostly just, it just sounded like guys like talking back and forth. It actually sounded like, to me, from my window, like guys were messing around. It didn't sound like anything. It didn't sound like any fighting to me.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't that aware of it. I just kind of ignored it.
Okay. And you weren't paying attention to what anybody was saying during that period of time?
Nope. I didn't hear much. You couldn't really hear like anything clearly.
So at some point in time, did you look out the window and pay attention to what was happening out there?
Yes.
And do you know approximately when that was, or what happened that caused you to do that?
Well, it was right before I heard any gunshots. I kind of started hearing, it sounded like it's like words started escalating, and there was more cursing. And so I kind of started paying attention, but it happened so quick that when I looked out my window, when I heard gunshots, I just was like completely taken back, because I didn't see that coming at all. From what I heard, it sounded like I said, boys were like messing around back and forth, the typical weekend. What we hear outside our window, we live right on the, the right side of the wing, so we always hear people walking back and forth from, the streets. So I don't think anyone was expecting any kind of gunshots to take place. So that's when I looked out the window, obviously.
All right, let me just break that down a little bit. Are you able to estimate for the jury how long you were looking out the window before you heard gunshots?
There were definitely like a couple minutes, I would say, of like looking back and forth.
Okay.
I would just like go walk to my bed, walk to the bathroom, walk to my, and then when I looked out the window when it sounded like it was escalating quickly, it only felt like it was like 10, 15 seconds. And then it felt like the gun came out of. So I would say there was a couple minutes of bantering and then an escalation and then gunshots.
All right. So you were looking out when you heard the gunshots?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that 15 seconds, to the best of your ability, what you remember seeing during that 15 seconds before the gunshots?
Well, that's what I guess that's how I can explain it. I was looking at the window back and forth, so it was, I didn't see much of any kind of, I didn't see any fighting. I definitely didn't see anything physical. So it's mostly what I was hearing, and it was just, from my room, it was sounding like gibberish. And then I would say, right when I would say I directly looked out the window after I heard the shots. And before it was mostly just bantering. So I didn't see any kind of physical fighting or anything before that.
Okay, all right. So I just want to be clear. So you're saying that you really weren't paying attention directly to what was going on outside or looking outside other than walking by the window.
Exactly.
Until you heard the shots themselves.
Exactly.
All right. And it was just in the last 15 seconds that you heard escalated voices and cursing.
Correct.
Okay. During those walking back and forth in front of the window, you didn't see any of the action that was happening out there?
No, I saw guys in a group going like back and forth speaking, but no, I didn't see anything physical.
Okay. One group or two, do you recall?
Yeah, it felt like, from what I recall, it felt like it was in a circular area, like they were kind of gathered.
Okay. You didn't see anybody running, charging, moving quickly?
That was after the first round of shots, I saw someone running.
Okay. All right. If I may have a moment to just catch up, Judge. Okay, so can you describe to us what you heard then that caused you to pay more attention to what was happening outside?
I heard, I mostly just, like I said, it escalated, so it went from what it sounded like people going back and forth to cursing, and I couldn't gather like actual phrases. I do remember like the one phrase I heard, and I remember saying this was, I heard something about one-on-one, and that was all I heard, and I heard cursing. And then that was pretty much all I could gather from it. And then, like, directly, it seemed like I heard gunshots.
Okay, tell us about the gunshots.
Do you mean, like, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean tell you what I heard or how many gunshots?
What you heard, what you saw, whatever you observed.
So I had heard 2 gunshots first, and, like, directly 2 after, it felt like. So 2 and 2. And then I I grabbed my phone to call 911 and to grab my roommate out of her bed, just because I wasn't sure what was going on, obviously, outside. And as I was calling 911, we were like in the foyer, I heard several more gunshots. And at this point, that was just so chaotic. I didn't see anything after that. After I grabbed my roommate, it was just like so much chaos. I wasn't sure what was going on. And my first instinct was to call 911. So from what I saw, obviously I saw after the gunshots, I looked down and there were people, on the ground. But that's like, I looked up, I looked down, I grabbed the phone. It happened so quickly. There was not much time to remember everything and to get a good look of everything. And I wish I would have, but.
Did you hear anything about a gun prior to the gunshot?
No.
So you called 911 yourself?
Yes.
While you were on the phone or after you called 911, were you paying attention to what was happening out there?
No, because at that point, when I ran into the other room, I was on the phone I was calling 911, and as I grabbed my roommate, we heard the other shots, but honestly, our window's right there, so my instinct was, when I hear gunshots, was to like hide, which is like, I just didn't know who was outside or if someone was going to come into our building or something, so that's kind of what my instinct was, to make sure everyone was okay inside.
Okay, so I heard you say that you heard another set of gunshots. All right, I'm just going to ask you to do the best you can to describe what happened, what you saw, what you did in between the two sets of gunshots.
Well, after I saw someone go down, when we got up, I remember seeing someone with a hood after I heard the gunshots. All I remember seeing was someone with a hood backing up and saying, excuse my language, what the fuck, repeating it, and like, what did you just do? And I just saw someone backing up, and then I don't know whether I saw someone running, charging or running, but I saw someone running, moving, going away. So, and I remember seeing a white shirt, and that was what I recall about it. But from what I saw outside, that's as quick as I got, that's as quick as my eyes could get what I saw, and that was after the first round of gunshots.
But before the second set?
Yes.
Tell us about the person who was wearing the hood, who was backing up. So, am I right to say that you were looking out your window down on the sidewalk in between Mountain View and the parking lot there?
Correct.
Which direction were people moving, the people that you described moving, which direction?
They were going more away. So if this is my room and the parking lot is up there, they're definitely going more back.
Into the parking lot?
Yes. They're farther away from my room, at least. From what I remember seeing, felt like they were moving away. But like I said, it happened so quickly. It's the best I can remember.
Okay. All right. And what do you know about the person with the white shirt?
From what I recall, I remember seeing them running.
Which direction?
Away.
So when you're saying away, and we'll show you a scan later to try to orient you, but it sounds to me, and with the hand gestures you're using, it sounds to me like you're suggesting that these people were moving into the parking lot, like directly away from you. Is that a fair? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's what I can remember.
That's the hooded person and the person in the white shirt?
Yes.
In between the two sets of shots?
Yes.
All right. What's the next thing you recall happening?
That was at that point pretty much all I had seen. Once I went down, I went and grabbed my roommate, like I said, and we hid, honestly.
All right. What about the second set of shots? What can you tell the jury about that?
That's what I heard. I had only heard them. I hadn't seen what happened.
How many?
I remember about at least hearing 3. There was 3 or 4. That's what I remember hearing.
Are you able to estimate for the jury roughly the amount of time in between the two sets of shots?
From me running to one room to the other, I would say it was at least, 10, 15 seconds, probably 15. But, time is relevant to to how fast everything was going, so.
Okay. And it was during that 10 or 15 seconds that you saw the man with the hood and the guy with the white shirt moving?
Right.
Okay. Did you ever actually see the person with the gun or see a gun?
I couldn't see it, no. It was so dark outside, too. I mean.
Okay. You're familiar with that parking lot?
Yes.
Are there street lights, walkway lights in that area?
I'm pretty sure there's street lights in the park. I mean, there's like parking lights. But I don't think on the sidewalk there's any.
You said, I'm going to refer you back to saying when you were kind of only half paying attention, walking by your window and looking out, you said there was a group of guys out there?
Correct.
Did you pay enough attention to be able to offer the jury a guess at or an estimate of the number of guys?
From what it felt like between 7 and 10 guys.
All together?
Yes.
And how, were they tightly clustered together? How spread out?
I felt like they were somewhat spread out. Like I said, like in a circle. I mean, I'm sure they weren't in a direct circle, but it felt like they were from what I remember seeing.
Okay.
They were gathered, definitely.
Were they moving or staying still, or do you even know?
I recall them moving because I remember looking out and thinking they were just going to walk by. And then it seemed like they stopped, obviously.
Which direction do you recall them moving?
From, I can explain it, from the sidewalk from the other street, from...
Franklin?
Yes, towards Mountain View, past Mountain View, obviously,
Okay.
like that way, that direction.
Let's do some Leica. Your Honor, referring again to exhibit number 316. All right, Courtney, what's the building that we're looking at there?
Mountain View Hall.
All right. Are you able to determine from this view which one of those windows is yours?
Mine is the second row, the middle row, the sixth window to the right.
All right. So using that laser pointer, if you can indicate.
Oh, sorry. It is right behind that tree.
Behind that tree there?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know if your window was open or closed?
It was
or?
open.
All right. So, can you indicate for the jury, to the best of your ability, where the group was, how spread out they were based on this view?
Also, that was my window, and then they were in that circle, like that whole perimeter.
All right, so a pretty good size space. And you didn't, let's see, when you saw did you see one person go down or two, or?
I remember seeing like one person go down, but it was mostly after, like I said, I had looked at after the shots, after I heard shots.
All right.
So I really only got a glimpse of someone going down.
Just one person going down? Okay. And do you know roughly where that was?
I don't recall.
All right. The gentleman with the hood and the person with the white shirt, which direction were they moving in?
I remember them being somewhere around there, and then the hood, it felt like they were backing up this way. And from what I remember, the guy in the white shirt was backing up that way as well, but he was farther back than the guy with the hood.
Okay. So they from what you just indicated, and for the record, you indicated that they were both backing up from towards Franklin?
Yes.
Okay.
But the guy with the hood seemed like he was just backing up, like he was like, what are you doing? Like, what did you just do? And then the guy with the white, it felt like he was getting away or something. That's what I remember feeling when I looked out the window.
All right.
And I don't know which one came first or what, but that's what I recall.
All right. I'd like to take a different view, just relative to... From this view, well, okay, you saw, when you indicated the window, you saw that there was a tree
Correct.
that seemed to be in between your window and the sidewalk, is that
Right.
fair?
Yes.
Was that obstructing your view?
It would partially be in the way, yes.
All right, Courtney, just to clarify, so I think before we brought up the Leica, I was trying to clarify which direction the person in the hood and the white shirt were going, and you suggested that they, from this view, were going into the parking lot, which would be to the left? Did I misunderstand you?
Yeah, the guy with the hood just was backing up. He wasn't running or anything, so
Okay.
it felt like he was just going towards Franklin. Like if I was showing you a direction, yes, but he wasn't like far away or anything. It just felt like he was backing up. And then from the guy with the white shirt, as I said, I don't know, it felt like he was going towards the parking lot.
Okay, so can you indicate with the laser pointer what you think you saw?
So the white shirt felt like he was somewhere over here, and I just remember seeing someone running or moving that way, going that way.
Okay.
And then the guy with the hood was about over here, I would say, and he was just backing up like 2 feet, just saying like, what did you just do?
And those things were in response to the first set of shots?
From what I remember, yes.
All right. Courtney, based on what you observed prior to hearing gunshots, did that seem like a life and death situation to you?
Not at all.
Relative. Kyle's under.
Sustained. Did you move to strike? You say
Strike.
It is stricken. Last answer is stricken.
Did you hear anything about weapons, hear anything about anybody saying the word kill or I'm going to kill you?
Nope, not at all.
All right. Last question, Courtney. You called 911. Did you feel it was necessary to call 911 before the shots?
No, because I thought about that so many times. If I would have heard it escalate, if I would have heard it, I am the kind of person who probably would have ran downstairs and done something about it. If I would have saw a fight coming, if I would have heard any kind of physical, I just didn't see that coming at all. And like I said, it sounded like bantering to me, and I would never have guessed that gunshots were going to be the next thing I heard.
Very well. Thank you, Courtney. Nothing further at this time.
Over here. Good morning, Courtney.
Good morning.
Do you remember doing an interview with an officer the same day all this happened?
Yes.
Would you agree that your memory was fresher then than it is now, a year and a half later?
Definitely.
In preparing for today, did you have an opportunity to go through the transcript of that interview?
Yes.
Okay, so you did do that to prepare for today?
Yes.
I'm going to give you that transcript so we can go through it. It's going to be Exhibit 90.
I'm sorry, did you say 19?
95.
95. Good.
Thank you.
Take a second just to look at that, confirm that is the transcript that you reviewed in preparing for today.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. So, at the time that you looked out, could you make out any faces?
No.
Okay. You've since learned the names of a lot of these individuals, right?
Yes.
Did you know any of these guys prior to that incident?
No.
Okay. Did you get to know any of them since then?
Yes.
Who do you now know?
I studied abroad in Spain with Kyle's in tech
When was that?
last semester.
Last semester. So after this incident, you spent a semester in Spain?
Correct.
Studying with Kyle Zintek?
Yes.
Okay.
I also know both the Knicks, but I'm not close with them. So
Both the Knicks?
both Knicks.
Yeah,
yes,
there's a lot more than just two.
Yeah. Well,
Do you know which Knicks you're referring to?
Nick Prado and Nick Peering.
Okay. Okay. So you've gotten to know them since?
Yeah, but I don't know them well at all. I only know Kyle well.
Okay. Now, you said that at first you heard noise out there, but you weren't paying that close attention. You're used to that.
Correct.
But then it seemed like it started to escalate, and then you looked out the window?
Yes.
And very quickly after that is when the shooting started?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you didn't hear any, you couldn't make out any phrases prior to looking out the window, right?
The only phrase I said that I heard was something about one-on-one and then cursing, and that was it. Nothing else.
This is before you looked out the window?
Yes.
So you heard something about one-on-one and you heard curse words?
Yes.
Okay. The curse words you heard, you didn't hear the sentence those curse words were in?
Like, no.
Okay.
Not really. I think that's what I made out of it was curse words, to
Right.
be honest.
So you really can't say what anyone said out there?
No.
Besides something about one-on-one?
Correct.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but your testimony this morning is that you didn't see anyone running or moving until after shots?
From what I remember, yes, until after shots.
So I'm going to direct your attention to page 5 of your transcript. And down to line 17 is beginning of your answer. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it for you. You let me know if I'm missing anything. So they were kids. That's what I mean. It didn't look like someone was attacking someone. It just looked like they were messing around. It was so bizarre. It was like out of nowhere. I mean, like ran, click, out of nowhere. I was taken back like completely. I didn't see that coming. Like I would have seen something. I would have been like, well, that kids look like they're going to fight. And then you say, like he just charged him and then boom, like shots. You see that?
Yes.
So you saw somebody charge at somebody before shots.
Okay.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, see, this is why I said I had a really hard time remembering this. And in that time reference, when I look out the window back and forth so many times and things happen, you know, it's been 15 months, you start to lose a little bit of memory of it.
Right, which is why it's great that we have this transcript from what you told the officer that day.
Correct.
Right? So what you told the officer that day was like he just charged him and then boom, like shots, right?
Correct. But when I said charged him, I'm also probably use that out of reference slightly because
Okay.
I don't know who was who. And when I say charge, I probably meant moved in some way forward.
Okay, so we'll get into that because the officer asked you follow
Yes.
up and you explained
Because
further.
we did use words when I look back that I wouldn't have necessarily, when I use the word fighting, I don't mean physically fighting either. So sometimes words can be taken out of context.
Right, but charging isn't running away, is it?
No.
It's
in some
pretty much
form
the
it's,
opposite, right?
it's moving though,
Yeah.
in some way or another.
So let's look a bit more because the officer then asked you some follow-up to clarify things. So let's look at page 7, okay? And go down to line 6. And actually, we'll go the question before that. The officer asked you, and then then you see the group come together. You see that? Mm-hmm. And your response is, I saw one kid backing up. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then you say further, and then I saw another kid backing another. That's when I saw another kid charging. So it was like they were all scattered, and this one kid was like going this way, and the other kid was going that way. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So you told us earlier that you saw 2 kids running away towards Franklin, right?
Well, not running away. The one kid was just backing up, I said.
Backing away towards
Yes,
Franklin.
and the other kid was moving another way.
But you clearly told the officer here that you see one kid backing up and the other kid going the other way, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I did say 2 directions when I pointed up there.
And the officer asked you, so did you see 2 people backing up or just one? And you said, I saw one kid backing up. And then you say, and then another kid just charging.
Correct.
Okay. So let's go down a little bit further. Officer still asking you to clarify things here. Go down to around line 8. And the question before that was on line 5 there, what happened when you saw the person running towards the other one? And then you say, that's the part I can't figure out. I was trying to piece it together, and I think he was wearing white. I'm not positive. The kid charging, I'm pretty positive, was wearing white. See that? Mm-hmm. So the kid that you saw charging somebody else was wearing white. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. Accurate.
And then on page, at the bottom of page 9 there, line 23, the officer saying, and then did you hear anything at that moment? And your response was, no, I just heard, that's when I heard the gunshots. Right? Mm-hmm. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I'm going to have to ask, when he asks you a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading
If you'd answer yes or no.
Got it, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
And then after that is when you backed down and went and got your roommate and called 911, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what you told the officer was that the movement you saw, one kid backing away, another kid charging, that all happened before the first round of shots, right?
Correct.
And then after that, you're freaking out, you back away, you get your roommate, you call 911, right?
Yes.
And you don't really see anything that's happening after that, right?
Right.
But you heard some more shots.
Right. But I will say the relevancy, when I look back at it, when I looked out the window and looked in and out with the shots, and there were 4 shots, I saw in that matter of time, and maybe with the detective that night also, when I kept going back and forth trying to figure out in exactly what time everything was happening, but it all happened in a matter of 15 seconds, and so it is hard to remember exactly what movement happened, when exactly what person was moving when forward, when I just kept hearing gunshots, and those 4 gunshots.
Sure, and it's been a year and a half.
Exactly.
So it's understandable,
yes.
But that's why it's great that you have this, what you told the officer that day, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And then on page 23, at the bottom, the officer's kind of finishing up with you, and he just wants to clarify some things with you. So you're talking, and you could see down there at the bottom, actually middle of the page, we'll start at 11, line 11. Okay. And the officer asks you, okay, and so you think, so before the gunshots, there was probably some physical, and you interrupted the officer to say, yes, I think so. And then he said fighting going on. You see that? Mm-hmm. So the officer's asking you, is there any physical fighting going on before the gunshots? And you said yes.
Yes, but I also, looking back on different parts of the transcript, I used the word fighting, and I said I don't mean fighting. I think when we use the word fighting, I didn't mean physical fighting. And I meant verbal, and I said bantering several more times throughout this, too.
Okay. But you also clearly saw somebody charge somebody before gunfire, right?
Yes, or I saw someone moving forward.
And the person charging was wearing a white shirt.
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Redirect.
Thank you, Judge. Courtney, directing your attention to the same transcript that was exhibit
95.
95. Directing your attention to page 14. Excuse me, page 12. Can you review page 12 to yourself, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions. Sorry, Courtney, I'm just trying to orient myself here.
Okay.
Do you recall your discussion with the detective about the person with the white shirt and the person with the hood?
Yes.
Okay. And were you trying to indicate to the detective that those people were moving before the first shots or after the first set of shots?
I think I was trying to explain that I saw movement after the shots, but like I said, it felt like I saw people coming in before the shots and then after, and it was dispersing quickly, so.
But specifically with regards to the person in the white shirt and the hood, what were you trying to convey to the detective?
I was trying to say that they're walking toward the person that was backing up. That's what I remember.
So directing your attention to page 14.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to just line 1. Let's just start there. That starts with an answer of yours. You talk about a kid backing up, is that correct?
Correct.
You said, but that was the kid on the end, like going, what the fuck, like freaking out, right?
Correct.
Number 6, line 6, the detective says, okay. And then line 7, you said, and then there was someone over here, and then there was someone charging, like I know there's someone coming from that way because he was charging, right? You see that?
Right.
And then you said, and then the detective said, okay. And you responded, and that's all I saw when there were people in the middle. And the detective asked you a question. So this was the guy with the white shirt, you think? And you said, that's what I think. And the detective said, okay. And then this guy was backing up, and he was backing up, and you responded, he was the guy with the hood at the end. After the shots, he was backing up. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, just to be clear, now having reviewed that, do you recall talking to the detective, trying to clarify that the
Yes.
white shirt and the hood was after the first set of shots?
Yes.
Thank you. If I may have a moment. Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
All right, I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for Ms. Wackett. I guess, no, Ms. Wackett, thank you for your testimony. You're
Thank you.
excused.